Q8093. If a certificate holder makes arrangements for another person to perform aircraft maintenance, that maintenance shall be performed in accordance with the A. Certificate Holder's Manual AD14 CFR Parts 43, 91, and 135. B. Provisions of a contract prepared by a certificate holder and approved by the supervising FAA District Office. C. Provisions and standards as outlined in the Certificate Holder's Manual. The correct answer is A. The certificate holder is responsible for making sure that any repairs, upkeep, or modifications carried out by a third party follow the handbook and rules of the certificate holder. Q8012. Who is responsible for submitting a mechanical reliability report? A. Each certificate holder. B. Director of maintenance at the facility that discovers the reportable condition. C. Chief inspector at the facility where the condition is found. The correct answer is A. Required mechanical reliability reports must be submitted by the certificate holder. Q8014. The maximum altitude loss specified for malfunction of a certain autopilot under cruise conditions is 50 feet. What is the lowest altitude this autopilot may be used en route? A. 500 feet AGL. B. 550 feet AGL. C. 600 feet AGL. The correct answer is A. According to 14 CFR 135.93, no person may use an autopilot en route, including climb and descent, below the following: 500 feet, at an altitude that is no lower than twice the altitude loss specified in the AFM for an autopilot malfunction in cruise conditions, or at an altitude specified by the administrator, whichever is greater. In this case, the maximum altitude loss specified for malfunction of the autopilot under cruise conditions is 50 feet. Therefore, the lowest altitude that this autopilot may be used en route is 500 feet AGL. Q8015. The maximum altitude loss for a particular malfunctioning autopilot under approach conditions is 55 feet. If the TDZ is 571 feet and the MDA is 1,100 feet, to which minimum altitude may you use this autopilot? A. 626 feet MSL. B. 990 feet MSL. C. 1,050 feet MSL. The correct answer is C. No person may use an autopilot when using an instrument approach facility other than ILS at a height above the terrain that is less than twice the maximum altitude specified in the approved airplane flight manual or equivalent for malfunction of the autopilot under approach conditions, whichever is higher, or less than 50 feet below the approved minimum descent altitude for that procedure. Q8016. The maximum altitude loss for a malfunctioning autopilot with an approach coupler is 40 feet. To which minimum altitude may the autopilot be used during an ILS approach in less than basic VFR conditions? A. 40 feet AGL. B. 50 feet AGL. C. 80 feet AGL. The correct answer is B. No one may use an autopilot with an approach coupler for ILS approaches when the reported weather is more severe than VFR and the altitude is greater than 50 feet above the ground, or the maximum altitude permitted by the approved airplane flight manual or an equivalent, whichever is higher.